In the quiet streets of Mercerville, New Jersey, a young girl's laughter echoed through the neighborhood, a sound that would soon vanish forever. Megan Kanka, full of life and innocence, grew up surrounded by family warmth, unaware that her story would one day transform child safety across the nation. Megan Kanka was born on December 7, 1986, to Richard and Maureen Kanka. She was the youngest of 3 children, with her siblings Jeremy and Jessica providing companionship and guidance throughout her early years. The Kanka family lived on Barbara Lee Drive, a suburban street known for its peaceful surroundings and close-knit community. Neighbors often described the area as a safe haven, a place where children played freely and families shared trust and camaraderie. From an early age, Megan displayed a natural vibrancy, her cheerful demeanor, and readiness to help others, making her beloved among family and friends. She particularly adored her older sister Jessica, often imitating her mannerisms and seeking to emulate her example. School life suited Megan well. She participated in classroom activities, maintained friendships, and expressed curiosity about the world around her. Beyond academics, Megan found joy in outdoor play, whether riding her bicycle or spending time with neighborhood children. Her hobbies included creative pursuits, and she embraced the simple joys of childhood with enthusiasm and warmth. The Kanka household fostered a nurturing environment, reinforcing Megan's inherent kindness and optimism. Friends recalled her gentle nature, her willingness to support peers, and her infectious laughter. These qualities, coupled with her sense of adventure and familial bonds, painted a picture of a child surrounded by love and stability. Yet, despite this idyllic beginning, her life's course would soon be altered by a tragedy that shocked her family, her community, and the nation. On the evening of July 29, 1994, Megan Kanka engaged in a common activity for her age, playing outdoors in the quiet Mercerville neighborhood. Her mother, Maureen, trusted the community and did not anticipate any danger. Megan's playful routine included riding her bicycle and spending time with nearby friends, which she had done countless times before. That afternoon, she was outside enjoying the summer day, unaware of the threat that awaited her. As time passed, Megan did not return home at the expected hour. Concern grew when Maureen noticed her daughter's bicycle still parked outside, untouched, a silent sign that something was wrong. Maureen immediately began asking neighbors if anyone had seen Megan. Among them was Jesse Timmendequas, who resided nearby. He claimed to have seen Megan earlier, but provided vague responses regarding her whereabouts afterward. The initial hours were critical, with every passing moment heightening the urgency of locating the child. Maureen, increasingly alarmed, contacted local law enforcement and reported Megan as missing. Police promptly arrived, initiating a search that began in the immediate vicinity of the Kanka residence. The investigation focused on the neighborhood, questioning neighbors, examining streets, yards, and homes, and seeking any possible witness accounts. Authorities were aware of the risks posed by individuals with prior convictions, though at this stage, no clear suspect had emerged. The community, once peaceful and secure in its environment, was now confronted with the shocking reality of a missing child. These early hours marked the beginning of a search and investigation that would uncover disturbing truths about the danger that had silently existed among them. Following the report of Megan Kanka's disappearance, law enforcement responded swiftly, recognizing the urgency of the situation. Officers immediately began canvassing the Mercerville neighborhood, searching streets, yards, and surrounding properties. The community, once calm and secure, experienced heightened concern as volunteers and neighbors joined the search, hoping for any trace of the young girl. Authorities initially questioned residents, seeking observations or unusual activity from the afternoon. Among those interviewed was Joseph Sale, a registered offender, who provided an alibi verified by police. However, Jesse Timmendequas, having been seen with Megan earlier, became the focal point. Investigators noted inconsistencies in his statements and observed his nervous, evasive behavior during questioning, raising suspicion. Despite his repeated denials, officers determined that further scrutiny was warranted. Detailed timelines were reconstructed based on witness accounts and neighborhood observations to establish Megan's last known movements. Law enforcement coordinated searches with K-9 units, canvassed public areas, and deployed investigative strategies consistent with child abduction protocols. Every lead was carefully documented, and surveillance of possible escape routes was considered to ensure no evidence was overlooked. The early investigation relied heavily on community cooperation and rapid information sharing, highlighting the importance of local awareness. By systematically analyzing statements, scrutinizing the area, and cross-referencing known offenders, authorities narrowed the focus toward Timmendequas, setting the stage for subsequent developments. These initial investigative measures underscored the meticulous approach required in missing child cases and demonstrated the critical role of community vigilance in supporting law enforcement efforts. Jesse Timmendequas had a documented history of criminal offenses involving young children, which would later become central to understanding the tragedy of Megan Kanka's murder. In 1979, Timmendequas pleaded guilty to attempting to harm a 5-year-old girl, an offense for which he received a suspended sentence and mandatory counseling. However, failure to comply with these requirements led to his incarceration, reflecting early patterns of noncompliance and concerning behavior. In 1981, he was convicted for harming a 7-year-old girl, resulting in a prison sentence that underscored the severity of his actions. Despite these convictions, he was eventually released back into the community, and records show he lived near residential areas where children frequently played. Authorities and legal systems of the time did not fully restrict his proximity to minors, a critical oversight given his previous offenses. Timmendequas' criminal background raised questions about the adequacy of monitoring mechanisms and public notification regarding offenders with histories of child-targeted crimes. Throughout his post-release years, Timmendequas maintained employment and residence in communities where he could access children, though no that tragically facilitated the events of July 29, 1994. The investigative focus on his history revealed both systemic weaknesses and the importance of stringent oversight for offenders with child-related convictions. After hours of intensive questioning, Jesse Timmendequas confessed to abducting Megan Kanka. Law enforcement immediately acted on his statements, tracing his movements and reconstructing the events of that day. According to Timmendequas, he lured Megan from her home under the false promise of showing a puppy, exploiting the trust inherent in a close-knit neighborhood. The confession detailed how he took Megan to his residence, where the crime occurred. Authorities emphasized the chilling lack of remorse in his account, underscoring the calculated nature of the offense. Following this admission, Timmendequas guided investigators to Mercer County Park, the location where Megan's body had been concealed. Her remains were discovered approximately 23 hours after her disappearance, bringing immediate closure to the initial uncertainty surrounding her whereabouts. Examination confirmed the cause of death as mechanical strangulation, consistent with Timmendequas' confession. The investigative team meticulously documented the scene, collecting evidence to corroborate the timeline and circumstances described by Timmendequas. Throughout the process, police maintained a sensitive and respectful approach to preserve the dignity of Megan, recognizing the profound trauma experienced by her family. For the Kanka family, the recovery of her body marked a devastating confirmation of their worst fears, but it also provided crucial forensic evidence essential for the upcoming trial. The combination of confession, discovery, and corroborating evidence formed a pivotal moment in both the criminal investigation and the nation's understanding of risk posed by convicted offenders. In 1997, Jesse Timmendequas faced trial for the first-degree murder of Megan Kanka, alongside charges of kidnapping and multiple counts of aggravated assault. The prosecution presented a comprehensive case, emphasizing both the physical evidence recovered and Timmendequas' own confession, which detailed the abduction, the crime, and the concealment of Megan's body. Forensic experts testified on the cause of death, corroborating the mechanical strangulation described during the investigation. The prosecution further highlighted Timmendequas' history of offenses involving minors, illustrating a pattern of dangerous behavior and reinforcing the need for accountability. Throughout the trial, witnesses, including law enforcement officers and community members, provided testimony that contextualized the events leading to Megan's disappearance and the subsequent discovery of her remains. The defense argued that the confession had been coerced and questioned aspects of the evidence, yet the jury found these claims unpersuasive in light of the overwhelming corroboration. After careful deliberation, the jury returned a guilty verdict on all charges. Initially sentenced to death, Timmendequas' punishment was later commuted to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole in 2007, following New Jersey's abolition of the death penalty. The trial underscored the importance of a thorough and impartial legal process, balancing procedural fairness with the pursuit of justice for the victim and her family. For the Kanka family, the conviction provided a measure of closure, acknowledging the gravity of the crime and holding the perpetrator accountable. The proceedings also reinforced national awareness of the risks posed by convicted sex offenders, shaping subsequent policies and the broader discourse surrounding community safety and child protection. The tragic murder of Megan Kanka prompted her parents, Richard and Maureen, to advocate for stronger protections against sexual predators in their community. Within a month of Megan's death, the New Jersey General Assembly enacted legislation mandating that information regarding individuals convicted of sexual crimes against minors be made publicly accessible. This law, later known as Megan's Law, required the registration of offenders and the disclosure of their residential locations, enabling communities to take precautionary measures to safeguard children. The law's implementation established a precedent for balancing public awareness with the rights of offenders, creating a model for transparency in child safety. Megan's Law quickly gained national attention, inspiring similar statutes in other states across the United States. Its principles emphasize the necessity of community notification, risk assessment, and monitoring of individuals convicted of sexual offenses against minors. Beyond legislative reform, the law fostered educational initiatives, encouraging parents, schools, and law enforcement agencies to collaborate in protecting children. The Kanka family actively engaged with policymakers, advocating for nationwide adoption and providing testimony on the urgent need for preventive measures. Megan's Law became a cornerstone of child protection, demonstrating how a single tragedy could catalyze systemic change. Its impact extended beyond immediate safety concerns, prompting discussions on rehabilitation, recidivism, and the responsibilities of communities in monitoring offenders. Following the passage of Megan's Law, the Kanka family sought to further honor Megan's memory by establishing the Megan Kanka Foundation. This nonprofit organization was created with the purpose of preventing crimes against children and promoting community safety through awareness, education, and advocacy. The foundation focuses on equipping families with knowledge about child protection, offering resources that guide parents, caregivers, and educators on identifying risks and taking preventive measures. It also provides support for families affected by similar tragedies, helping them navigate the emotional and legal challenges that can arise. The continued efforts to prevent abuse and protect vulnerable children, reflecting how personal tragedy can lead to systemic improvements. Through legislative reform, community education, and unwavering advocacy, Megan's life continues to inspire protective measures, awareness, and action nationwide. Her enduring legacy exemplifies how compassion, dedication, and resilience can transform grief into proactive measures that safeguard future generations.